It's like an old Jerry Cheever's mask almost, eh?
What up, Mike? Toronto. VK on the beat. Check. I'm in Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm from Toronto where you wanna get the city love. I'm in Toronto like we wanna get the city love. My city love me back for my city love.
Welcome to episode 1477 of Toronto Mic'd. Proudly brought to you by Great Lakes Brewery, a fiercely independent craft brewery who believes in supporting communities, good times, and brewing amazing beer. Order online for free local home delivery in the GTA. Palma Pasta. Enjoy the taste of fresh, homemade Italian pasta and entrees from Palma Pasta in Mississauga and Oakville. The Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team, the best baseball in the city outside the Dome. I'll see you at the home opener at Christie Pitts on May 12th at 2 p.m. Wendell Clark and I will be there. I got a Blackhawks fan here. RecycleMyElectronics.ca. Committing to our planet's future means properly recycling our electronics of the past. The Advantaged Investor Podcast from Raymond James Canada. Valuable perspective for Canadian investors who want to remain knowledgeable, informed, and focused on long-term success. Season 6 of Yes, We Are Open, an award-winning Moneris podcast hosted by FOTM Al Grego. And Ridley Funeral Home, pillars of the community since 1921. Today, making his Toronto Mike debut. And to tell me all about Brighton Rock, Greg Fraser. Welcome, Greg.
Thank you very much for having me on.
Well, what a pleasure. When did you become a Chicago Blackhawks fan?
Born and raised. I was born in dark ages of 1963 in a northern town of Sault Ste. Marie, the home of Phil and Tony Esposito. So,
well, that'll do it, right?
Yeah, and Phil, when he first got signed to the NHL, was with the Chicago Blackhawks. And as you know, Tony Esposito became quite the staple, Hall of Famer. So, yeah.
Well, I'm jealous because I see on the T-shirt you're wearing 3 Stanley Cups in recent history. Like, what's that like?
Yeah, oh, well, I mean, like I said, born in 63, before 2010, they never won a Stanley Cup since 1961. So
right.
my entire lifetime. And then 2010, 13, and 15, they won 3. So it was a little mini dynasty. It was unbelievable. It was great times. But now we're back at the bottom of the bottom of the barrel there. But it's okay.
Yeah, you had a great run. Dave Boland brought the cup to Mimico. So So everyone gets a cup for a day, right? So he brought it to Mimico, the Blue Goose, and that's as close as I've come to seeing the cup here because I'm a Leaf fan, and that last cup was before I was born, 1967. So
right.
I'm just jealous. I'm here to tell you, your team has won 3 Stanley Cups in like HD era. Okay, my era is black and white. So.
Yeah, I hear you. Well, the Leafs are due. They're due.
Oh, yeah, they're due all right. Tonight's a big game, so will you watch the Leafs tonight?
Oh, absolutely. I have a soft spot for the Leafs for sure. I mean, I always root for the Leafs unless they're playing the Hawks.
Okay, amazing. Now, I just want to shout out Tom Wilson from Junk House. Do you know Tom Wilson?
I think I've met him once, but I'm totally aware of him. Absolutely. He's a legend.
So they made a musical based on his book, Beautiful Scars. And I was at the premiere last night in Hamilton at the Aquarius Theater.
Oh, awesome.
Saw a lot of cool cats. Like when you go to Hamilton, you're going to bump into, well, in addition to Tom, you're going to bump into Ralph Benmergui and Dave Hodge and Stephen Brunt. Like these are the Hamiltonians I was hanging with last night.
Oh, no way.
And I'm just here to say it's amazing, like so well done, and the music's great, and it was just so effective. And congrats to Tom. And if people get a chance to see Beautiful Scars at the Aquarius Theater in Hamilton, do so.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to seeing it.
Now, Brighton Rock, I have so many questions for you, but I want to give you, read a few tweets I received about you. One is from My Rock and Roll Heaven. You played there a few times.
Absolutely. That was a legendary place. I love that place.
Well, My Rock and Roll Heaven. And I have no idea, like, can a venue tweet? I have no idea. But excellent, underrated band. So there's some high praise right off the top before we dive into Brighton Rock. Tobias Vaughn, actually being a little funny here, says it's a terrible candy, but a great book and a great movie. Is there a candy called Brighton Rock that you know of?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm trying to think about it. Like, what is it? Is it like? Can you describe Brighton Rock, the candy, to me? Like, how did I miss it?
Well, in Brighton, England, they have these Brighton shops, and you can buy Brighton Rock candy. And yeah, I mean,
It's like just hard rock candy?
yeah, it's like almost like candy canes and stuff. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Like old ladies would have like a bowl full of these things, maybe.
Sure,
like
sure.
On The Simpsons, when you lift one up and the whole thing kind of stuck together here.
Exactly like that.
Okay. And I'm here to just shout out. Queen's got a great song called Brighton Rock. So
Absolutely.
maybe off the top, where did the name Brighton Rock? Like, what inspired it? Is it the book? Is it the movie? Is it the song? Where does Brighton Rock come from as a name of a rock and roll band?
Well, kind of all of the above. When we first got our record deal, we were called Heart Attack. And the record label said to us, well, we already have a band called Jack Mack and the Heart Attack, so you have to change your name.
Too confusing.
Yeah, so our singer at the time was reading a book, Brighton Rock, by Graham Greene,
Right.
about the Mods and the Rockers, and he's a big Queen fan, and we were throwing names around, and nothing stuck, and that name was thrown out there, and we went, yeah, I like that name, but I wonder if it's going to be too much, they're going to think we're a Queen tribute, but we decided, let's just do it, and then we've kept it ever since.
And the rest is history.
Yep.
Okay, now we got to establish who you are before we get to the Bob Roper episode of Toronto Mic'd, because you and I are connected because you listened to Bob Roper's, like I would say his Toronto Mic'd debut, but it was actually his podcast debut. Like he's never done any other podcast.
It's a shame because he's got so many stories.
No, it's good because I want the exclusive. Like I like the idea that if you want to hear Bob Roper, a long form recorded conversation, there's one place you have to go. There's nowhere else you can go. Like I like that.
It's true. I mean, that's what I love about your show. You have a lot of show episodes where you go behind the scenes. I mean, you've had Kevin Shea on here. He's another guy that was with the rec company. He's got great stories. I'm pretty sure you had Steve Waxman on it.
Yeah, I have. Yeah, Kevin brought in Steve actually.
Well, there you go. He's another guy that worked at a rec company. You know, and those guys are behind the scenes, and they never get talked about enough because the band reaps all the rewards from but the people pushing it and making it things happen, like Bob Roper and Steve and Kevin Shea, they deserve to be noticed, and they're great guys, and I'm proud to call them friends.
So you're saying it takes a village?
Yeah, absolutely.
It takes a village to have a Canadian rock and roll band. Okay, so we are going to talk more about Bob Roper, and we are going to talk more about Kevin Shea. He actually seeded a question for you because he was here just a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
And there's a guy for a little while played keyboards in Honeymoon Suite who says hi. I'm going to talk about him in just a moment. But can you give me an idea of when in your life, Greg, do you realize you want to be a rock and roll star? Like, when does it hit you that this is what you want to be, a rock star?
Well, I don't know if
I just asked the same question twice. Did you catch that? Like, I literally asked the question, and then I said it again, just in case you missed it.
Just in case I missed it. Yeah,
you're a rock star. You might not be so bright.
I'm guilty. I'd say, 2000 and actually, I'd say when I was about 10 years old is when I first started.
I was going to say 2000. Greg, how old are you?
Around
2000.
Around 1973, I started playing guitar, and a couple years before that, a show on TV was The Partridge Family, and I was a big Partridge Family fan. David Cassidy, I loved the way he looked. I loved that he sang, and I loved his guitars. I always, back then we didn't have cable TV or satellite, so there was only a few stations. So you had your favorite shows, and you had to watch it live. Or if you didn't watch it, it's gone.
If you missed it, you missed it.
That's it. So I made sure, so I was I loved the guitar, and then around 72, when I was about 9-ish, I started hearing more rock songs, and one particular was Smoke in the Water, and I'm sure you've heard a lot
Deep Purple.
Yeah, a lot of guitar players use that as one of their openings.
That opening riff, right?
That opening riff is still killer, and there's another one back the same year was School's Out by Alice Cooper.
Absolutely.
And I remember those riffs, like, wow. So I, air guitar. And then I started getting a little older, and all of a sudden I'm 11, 12 years old, and I started getting into a band called Kiss, and you've heard maybe a lot of other musicians call that like a gateway to, rock and roll. So, I thought they were larger than life superheroes, and I wanted to be that. Like,
who was your favorite member?
Ace, of course.
Ace Frehley, okay.
Yeah, and and I thought he was the coolest. He had a lot of swagger on stage, and he had some great melodic leads, and the power. And so I really loved it. That. And then I came into the Zeppelin, and then it's like I got to do this. So I quit school when I was around 16 years old. To
Really?
Yeah. All I got's a grade 10 education to go.
I'm jealous again. That's twice in this episode. Okay, keep going.
So I was a full-time musician when I was 16 years old, touring all through Ontario and stuff like that. And I remember...
But touring with whom exactly when you're 16? Is this Heart Attack? Who are you with?
No, this is a band called Pharaoh, like the Egyptian Pharaoh.
Okay.
We had like a wicked stage show with... we're dressed up like craziness. But anyways...
Inspired by Kiss, of course.
Of course, yes. And... Right. Yeah, so we toured all through Quebec and Northern Ontario, all over the place, and the band kind of fizzled out. But it was my first taste of writing original music, and then I knew to become a rock star, you had to have your own music. So I ended up joining another band after that called Lennox, and Lennox was based out of Niagara Falls, where I been living since the last 50 years, basically. Yeah, so Lennox, the guitar player that left, he was a guy named Johnny D, who's now the lead singer of Honeymoon Suite.
It's all coming full circle, because when you said you were a 16-year-old and you were like basically full-time musician, I was thinking, that's really young, except just the other day. In fact, it was, what is today, Saturday?
Yep.
Thursday, I'm going to say. 2 days ago, I had a guy in this basement who was 15 years old playing with a band you might have heard of called Spoons.
Oh, absolutely. You're talking about Robbie.
Rob Bruce.
Yeah, great guy. Hi, Rob.
Well, Rob says hi. And Rob, of course, was with Honeymoon Suite, and I'm going to ask you about Honeymoon Suite soon, too. So.
I love that guy. Rob's awesome. Yeah, so Johnny left. He was like the co-lead singer, and he was a guitar player for Lennox, and he left to form Honeymoon Suite. And being that we're all from Niagara Falls, I jumped in there, and they were trying to write originals. And so we ended up making a record with a guy named Mick Ronson. Are you familiar with Mick Ronson?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So for those of you who don't know, he was the lead guitar player for David Bowie and from the Ziggy Stardust from Mars times way back then. And he was a producer. So he was a legend, and he produced our record, and with the intentions of getting a record deal. But the thing is, we did a whole record with him at Phase One Studios, and we never got a record deal. Everybody passed on it. It was looking back as more. I'm thinking it might have been like a direction problem. So the singer and some of the other guys in the band, including myself, we all kind of were pulling in different directions. And so when that fizzled out and broke up, I knew I had to start my own band, but I had to surround myself with people who had basically the same influences me, seems, so that the direction would be cohesive. And so I got some guys, and we called ourselves Heart Attack. And but I made a point of, before we went doing any live dates, is to work on originals, have enough songs for a record deal. So somebody came out and seen us, and they said, "Hey, you guys are good. Do you have anything?" As a matter of fact, we do.
Wow. So
we started recording demos before we did any live dates, before we learned any cover songs, and then we managed to get on the Q107 Homegrown album.
Is this 84?
This would have been 83, 84-ish, yes.
Okay, and this, by the way, I searched far and wide. I should have asked you if you had a copy, but Breaking Down the Barricade.
That's the one.
I couldn't find it.
Yeah. That's the one. It's on...
It's on the Q107 Homegrown compilation from 1984, I believe.
Yes, yeah, and that's the one. And so that right away, we got attention from like record companies and stuff like that. So if I should back up for a minute,
Sure.
Lennox was managed by a guy named Stephen Prendergast. And so when Lennox broke up, he says, like, "Hey, keep going, man. I like what you're doing. If you get something together, keep me posted." So Steve managed Honeymoon Suite. So that was his only band. And then I formed Brighton Rock. So we were the second band. So we were, both bands. And I kind of got off track there. I don't know where.
No. Okay, so we're gonna bring Bob Roper into here now in a moment here. Okay. But checking out my notes here, you did mention David Cassidy, so I just need to I'm now contractually obligated to just tell you that David Cassidy would own horses, like they'd run at Woodbine and elsewhere. He was a big horse owner.
I did not know that.
Yeah, and shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. David Cassidy, sadly, no longer with us, but he had this horse, and he needed a name, so he was friendly with a guy named Perry Lefko. You might know his brother, Elliot. Do you know Elliot Lefko? Any interactions?
I'm not sure.
Elliot Lefko needs to get on the Brighton Rock wagon here. But okay. Bottom line is, so Perry Lefko was good friends and is good friends with Peter Gross.
Okay.
Peter Gross was a longtime City TV personality.
Absolutely.
And he's a dear friend of mine. Peter, think he now owes me about 25, 26 favors. I'm just keeping score over here. Okay. But what did Perry tell David Cassidy to name his horse? Peter the Gross. So David Cassidy would run a horse named Peter the Gross, named after City TV legend Peter Gross.
That's awesome.
And on the live stream, live.torontomike.com, I want to shout out Basement Dweller because he points out Susan Day played a mean tambourine. Okay.
She crushed it on the tambourine.
Absolutely. She was an early crush for me, actually, Susan Day. So thanks for reminding me of the Partridge Family, which, by the way, came up organically on Thursday with Rob Pruce and Bob Willett, because we were kicking out bird jams and we were talking about, we could kick out songs from like bands and people who are like have names of birds in the title. And then I think Rob said, yeah, like the Partridge Family, because of course Partridge is a bird. So
there you go.
Lots of Partridge Family talk on Toronto Mike here. Where does Bob Roper, the aforementioned FOTM, who, and again, you said you listened to that episode and that's why you reached out. And that's why I said, let's talk about Brighton Rock, for goodness sakes. Greg, get over here.
Yeah.
But it sounded like you had heard other Toronto Mic'd episodes before. Like, so Bob Roper wasn't your gateway to Toronto.
Oh, no. I've been listening for a while. I love your show. It's fantastic.
See, now that's music to my ears, Greg. More on that, please.
Well, Bob Roper, like I'm pretty sure he was the one that signed Honeymoon Suite. So he was our manager, my manager at the time, Steven, was going, hey, I got this other guy you got to keep your eyes on. And then we got on the Q107 homegrown contest. Right. So he was well aware of who we were. And then, we got some more songs together. So then we had to, do some showcases and stuff like that. So once we did do a showcase for Bob, and I remember he definitely wanted to hear us, and he liked what he heard, some of the originals.
Yeah.
He wanted to see us live, but so we had to throw something together. I can do something next week or 2 weeks from now. So we had to throw a show together. So it was, I forget where it was, might have been Mississauga or something like that. So we get this place, and sure enough, there's a snowstorm.
Right.
So like we get there, and there's like 8 people in the crowd. And it's like, oh my God, well, hopefully Bob doesn't show up. Maybe he can't make, because, we'd hate for him to see this, right? Sure enough, there's Bob. And we play like half a set, and then our sound system, our PA system cuts out and stops. And now we got to stop. It's like, oh my God, what else could go wrong, right?
Right.
But Bob loved it. He goes, man, you guys got all the energy. I love your attitude. You got some good songs. You guys are on your way. Keep it going, Send me some more songs. And then he signed us. And, without guys like Bob Roper, our last record was released in 1991. So that's over 30 years ago. Right. So the fact that you still even remember my name or the band's name, that goes back to guys like Bob Roper, for taking a chance on us, because he could have passed. I mean, the guys like that back then, when record companies had the muscle, right, they're getting bombarded from bands like daily, from demos. Sign my band. Look at me.
But enough about the Killer Dwarfs.
But for Bob to take a chance on us, especially at that time, because we were a harder edge band, harder rock, and that wasn't always a sure thing on radio. And radio was huge back then. It was everything, that and much music. So he took a chance on us, and it paid off. And we were lucky enough to do 3 records with Warner. Wow. And, I got to tour all through North America and Germany and England, stuff like that. So, yeah, thank you, Bob Roper and Kevin Shea and Steve Waxman and Stan Kulin and Roger Desjardins. Too bad he's not around. That guy would have endless stories for you, man. Legendary.
I missed another one here. Okay, so Warner, and, this is a question. So Warner is known in this country as WEA?
Yep.
Okay.
Warner Electra Atlantic.
Okay. Do you have any idea why that is? I should have asked Bob Roper that when he's here. I can ask Kevin Shea next time he's by. But what was the deal there? Like, why is it called Warner in the States, but up here called WEA?
I'm assuming because instead of trying to have 3 record companies like Warner and Electra Records and Atlantic, they just kind of combined it, merged it in.
But that's less competition to sign a band like Brighton Rock.
Yeah, and what's the same thing in Europe was the same thing. WEA International. So we were on WEA Records, but in America we were signed with Atlantic, Adco Atlantic. So yeah, for the first record.
So I'm gonna kick out a song from Young, Wild and Free, which is your debut album with WEA. And thank you, Bob Roper, for signing Brighton Rock and making Greg Fraser's day here. But can you please shout out who is in the band at this point? So is it still the original member from 82? Like the original members from 1982?
Yeah, like when the band got signed, we had Johnny Rogers on keyboards, Stevie Screebs on bass, Jerry McGee, who's no longer with us, on lead vocals, and Mark Camberzan on drums, and myself.
You're the guitarist.
I'm the lead guitar player, and we did 3 records, and yeah.
Okay, let's get into some music. Let's hear some Brighton Rock, and then I have more notes along the way and more questions, obviously. But
Awesome.
Let's open with this one. Came to rock, Greg.
Yes, indeed.
Now, you pointed out, sadly, Jerry McGee no longer with us. That's him on lead vocals, right? Gone far too soon. I did not realize he was only 58 when he passed away.
Yeah, it's such a tragedy. Yeah, miss that guy.
Yeah,
dearly.
That's awful. That's awful. But tell me a bit more. So this is the debut album, Young, Wild, and Free, and this is your first single. Is that right?
That was the first single and first video, and that put us on the map. It was a very exciting time for us. As you know, back then in the mid '80s, Much Music, MTV were huge, and our dream was to be on there, to be on Much Music and MTV and stuff like that. And sure enough, we got on there, and it was very exciting for us, and back then that was huge to be on video, like a station like that, because it could put you across the country immediately.
It's everything, right?
It's everything, and those days are gone. I mean, radio's pretty much dead. It's just it's all classic rock. They don't really break any new bands anymore. Video doesn't really exist. There's no video channels that people are glued to anymore. So it's hard to really get noticed. But back then it was everything. So, for us to be on Much Music, and all of a sudden we're going out west and people know who we are. It's like, wow, this is incredible.
Who was here? Mo Berg was here talking about when Much Music started playing. I'm an adult now. And all of a sudden, overnight, from sea to shining sea here in this great country, kids are listening to your music. It was like the most popular radio station in the country.
Absolutely. I mean, and the thing about that too is it turned me on to music that I wouldn't normally listen to, because you never knew when your video was going to pop on, and I always was curious, so I just leave it on all day. And if they did play it, I want to hear what they were going to say. That was the thing. Okay, what are they going to say?
Right.
But in the meantime, you're hearing other stuff that I wouldn't necessarily listen to on the radio stations I would listen to, because I'd listen to more rock orientated. But all of a sudden they're playing, Culture Club and the Thompson Twins and stuff. Going, hey, I like this kind of stuff too. I'm a sucker for well-written songs. So,
did you like Spoons?
I absolutely love the Spoons. Oh, for sure. Great hooks, great songs, great keyboards.
You have to say that.
Keyboards were the whole part of that. I mean, the keyboards were the reason why that band went as far as they did. But the Spoons are fantastic, man. Great band.
So I'm digging, kicking out these jams with you. I'm going to play one more from the first album before I read the question from Kevin Shea. So here we go.
Never can escape
This sound brings me right back, man. Like, just to timestamp everything. This is 1986 that Young, Wild, and Free comes out, and this song is called Can't Wait for the Night.
Yep, and that song was one of the initial demos. That particular song was pretty much what got Bob Roper's attention. That chorus, he said that chorus is a hit. Can't wait for that, so keep that up, Yeah, so this is bringing back a lot of memories.
Well,
a lot of memories.
Any thoughts that pop in your head as you listen back? Just share them. Like, don't worry about stomping on your own song. This is your episode, but it's almost like pop-up video. If you have a thought on a song or something you hear in the song you want to point out.
Well, it's I don't normally listen to my own music, and so this is a lot of memories are flooding back, like making the video for this, and like I'm actually getting kind of goosebumps here right now.
Love it, man.
As we're talking.
Mission accomplished.
Yeah.
Okay.
This was such a great time. To realize your dream is just starting to come true, and things are happening, and everything was so exciting, and all of a sudden going to a mall and somebody recognizes you, and it's like, what? This is awkward. Like, are you sure? No, I seen you much music. So, oh my God. And that's when our manager goes, from now on, you guys must be camera ready. Because you never know, don't be walking around in your sweatpants and stuff like that. You got to be camera ready in case somebody recognizes you now. So.
Wow. It's all changed for you there.
Yeah.
And this song, okay, so and I don't know what this means in Canada. You'll tell me now, but this album was certified gold.
It was certified gold. But we never actually, that became gold after we broke up. Our second record is gold. We do have...
okay, well, we just so you know, I do this thing, we just started it, but every quarter it's called FOTM Cast. I'm not going to get that name right. FOTM Cast, and I got a couple of guys who come over and we review everything from the previous quarter in the TMU, the Toronto Mic'd Universe. So next FOTM Cast, we'll be talking about this, but I did play a song from the next album to tease this, because we all remember a song in a moment. But just before we get to the album, take a deep breath. I got to read the question from Kevin Shea. But I'm also trying... Can you help me understand? So, who's playing... What radio stations are playing this? Like is Hits FM playing this?
Yeah.
Q is playing this for sure.
Q was playing it. Hits FM was just starting, too, as a matter of fact. So they were coming
shout out to Paulie Morris.
Paul Morris,
from the White House of Rock.
Yeah. Yeah, so they were just starting as our record was releasing, so it was all new territory for us. So yeah, they would play us, and the rock stations across Canada would play us, and thank God for that. I mean, it was such a fantastic time. It was so exciting, like I mentioned, and then you mentioned about the gold record. If you look at there's a picture of us receiving a gold record, and you'll see Kevin Shea in the picture. So it's awesome.
I was sent a picture of you receiving a gold medal, and I just want to shout out somebody else who's in the photo because he sent it to me. Let me give a big... Actually, there's a lot of people I could ask. So the guy who sent it to me is Bruce Barker from Rock 95.
Love that guy, Bruce.
Fellow FOTM. He sent me this photo, and the band's in it, but you know who else is in here? Pat Tabler, Duane Ward. These are Toronto Blue Jays that are in here.
Absolutely. And it's funny because they actually... Our third record, Love Machine, they both sing on that record with us. So we have a song called Hollywood Shuffle, another one called Bulletproof, and we have these group chants like, whoa!
Okay, slow down. This is huge, okay? This is huge. So Toronto Blue Jays, Duane Ward, and Pat Tabler.
Oh, this gets even better.
Okay, I want every detail.
Oh.
But I know they went to Metalworks, and they cut backing vocals out.
That's right.
And I got to see if I've loaded up here. Mike, did you do your job? Okay, so Hollywood Shuffle they're on?
Yeah. And
now, this is the third album, Hollywood Shuffle, right?
Third one, but another song called Bulletproof.
Okay. I don't have... Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I have Hollywood Shuffle. I can play it now, and then you can tell me every detail about Duane Ward and Pat Tabler.
Okay.
So this is the third album, so we're out of order now, but... they in there?
Yeah, whoa.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
This is fucking huge, Greg. Do you
Yeah.
understand? You're shaking my the universe as I know it here. So they were just fans of the band? Like, how did that come to be?
Well,
Tell me everything.
Bruce Barker, he's a great rock and roll fan, but he's a great sports fan too. So he would merge, So he would say, "You have no idea. Like a lot of these athletes, they all want to be rock stars, and and a lot of the rock guys wanted to be athletes.
100%.
And." There was another guy that really wanted to meet us. We never hook it up. Was Dave Steeb?
Wow.
Yeah,
I would have shut this thing down, man.
Yeah, he was a big fan of us. But
Dave Steeb, big Brighton Rock fan, wanted to be on a track.
he wanted to be on. He when we were recording, he was kept trying to come down in the studio, but he could never get down there. But I must mention the song "Bulletproof."
You know what? Is it on YouTube? I can do this. Come on, come on, Greg. I can do this. Bulletproof. Hold on, Brighton Rock. That's a Google search, everybody. Okay. Stand by. This is important. Oh, it's a live version.
That's the live version.
Oh, we don't want the live version.
Yeah,
okay.
well, they're not in the video.
Okay, well, hold on.
You.
We're going to go back and find this album cut.
I'm going to show you a little video. Listeners can't see that.
Okay.
There's me, Eric M, and Duane
Eric
Ward.
M. Duane Ward. This is massive, man.
Yeah,
Like, I'm a huge Blue Jay fan, especially from back then.
We're playing catch there.
That's amazing. I'm trying desperately in real time to find this song. Okay, so I just want let me go to YouTube here. Bear with me here. But tell me more about Blue Jays and
so the
Brighton
song,
Rock.
one of the other songs was called Bulletproof, and there's a football, we used to call them football chants to get all the guys together. Whoa! So when Duane, he was middle relief before Hanky would come in, right?
100%. He was a setup guy for Hanky.
Right. So when they announce the pitcher and he starts entering the field, the pitcher can pick the music that they come on to.
Right.
That's the song. So when Duane Ward would come out during the World Series, this is what you heard. You heard this, my guitar riff playing
from Bulletproof
as he's walking onto the field, and now pitching middle relief, Duane Ward.
The 1992 World Series.
Yes. So when he's walking out on the field, you're hearing my guitar playing. Oh my God, check it out, that's me. And he goes,
you know what? You deserve a World Series ring as far as I'm concerned. Okay, that's huge.
Yeah. So
Ward was amazing.
Oh God, he was amazing for sure. But he used to love hard rock, and this song would pump him up. He goes, and the title, he goes, I'm bulletproof. I'm going to go up there, and so that would be his motto. And it was fantastic. And then when they won the World Series, it was huge for Canada, but it was exciting for us because we kind of felt like we were a part of it in a small way, And
you were a part of it, big way. What are you stop being so humble? So Duane Ward, who typically and he pitched amazing in that World Series, as I recall, but he would typically set up Hanky. He'd pitch the 8th.
That's right.
And then in '93, he was a closer.
Yep.
Where we repeated, but. Love that guy.
And he'd give us box. He'd give us box.
You give you box seats?
Whoa! Hear that?
Okay, so in that chorus, just so I'm clear here, and this is important because we're going to talk about this at the FOTM cast.
Yep.
Both Pat Tabler and Duane Ward are in that chorus?
Right. You hear the band guys going, whoa, and Pat Tabler and Duane Ward are doing it with us. We're all together sharing a mic.
Duane Ward, I'm not surprised for some reason, but I'm shocked Pat Tabler was down with it. I didn't know he was a metalhead.
Yeah. Well, he liked all music. But Duane, we became closer. We kind of hung out with Duane Ward. He would give us box seats for free. We go down and watch a Jays game and hang in the box. And, we just go out and hang out and go meet after a game.
Let me see if I can pick out Duane's voice. Oh, yeah, for sure I hear it. Come on.
How can you miss it? But we'd miss him after games. Hey man, what was the Texas Longhorn? I guess he loved this Mexican restaurant, so we'd meet him after a game. Like, all right, man, we'll see you there. Yeah, that was awesome times for sure.
Goodness gracious, just amazing to hear that story, and I gotta say big thank you to Bruce Barker because this photo sparked all of this. I'm just looking at the photo now, and I saw this photo. I'm like, how the heck is this photo at Metalworks with Brighton Rock and Duane Ward and Pat Tabler?
Yeah,
But you just told the story.
Yeah. Yeah, Bruce was awesome for that. I mean, I remember one time we had a celebrity baseball game. It was like the Rock and Roll All-Stars against the Rock and Roll Media. So you'd have different guys in different rock bands. So it would be Brighton Rock and Honeymoon Suite, and we'd be playing against the media. So we
I need more. You need more. Who else would be involved?
I remember Alfie Zappacosta sang the national anthem and almost brought me to tears. I mean, he sang it with no music, and I was like, "Oh my God!"
He just made his Toronto Mike debut.
He
just
did
last month. Yeah.
Oh, what a voice! I go, holy man! I'll never forget that. But we were playing against like an 18-year-old Eric Lindros, against, and then the Rock and Roll Media was Rick. John Derringer was on there, and what do you call it? From
whatever happened to that guy, right?
Yeah, Coach's Corner, Ron McLean.
Ron McLean, yeah,
all those guys, and that was all through Bruce Barker. I mean, he was quite
he was
the man.
connector.
Absolutely,
good guy, good FOTM. I hope you're listening and getting your props here, Bruce. Big Bruce. Okay, shout out to Bruce. Not as big as he used to be though.
Yeah. Love you, Bruce.
The ever-shrinking Bruce Barker.
Oh, I know. Can barely see him, the invisible man.
That's right. Love the Blue Jay mix with the Brighton Rock there. And again, so we did skip. But here's a question. So I'm reading the article. Like, this is an actual article that Bruce Barker saved. Because, when you're in the paper with Duane Ward and Brighton Rock and, of course, Pat Tabler, who was money when the bases were loaded, right?
Yeah,
what did he bat? 500 of the bases loaded or something like that? He was
like
unbelievable.
That.
Unbelievable.
Yeah. Great first baseman, too.
But you want to know what the headline is? The headline of this article, Greg, this is, I need answers here. It says, Brighton Rock readies 4th release, Love Machine. Okay? That's the headline of this article. But didn't you tell me a moment ago only 3 releases? Or
Well, we had a 4-song EP before we actually we did.
That's the 4th one.
Yeah.
Okay, because I know Love Machine. That's what we just heard from Love Machine. That's the 3rd. And it's funny because we went out of order. So we talked about the first album, Young, Wild, and Free.
Right.
And then we played songs from Love Machine, which came out in 91. But there's an album in the middle with a huge jam. Like, it seemed to be everywhere. I was thinking, where was I hearing it? And I think I was hearing it on top 40 stations.
Sure.
We'll get that in a minute. Like CFTR.
Yep.
Okay. Because I listened to a lot of 680 CFTR at this time, 1988, when this album's released. So here's what we're going to do. We've been talking a lot about baseball. There's a rock star who played a lot of slow pitch, and he might have been in that rock and roll game. I don't know. But I'm thinking about Rick Emmett from Triumph. Rick Emmett loves playing baseball.
Yep.
So did he ever play ball with you? Did you ever play Rick?
We played hockey together. Yeah. Hits FM, speaking of which, we had a hockey team, and we played against the NHL old timers. So Rick would be on our team, and Gowan and guys from Coney Hatch and and Brighton Rock and stuff like that, and we play against the old timers. I remember facing off with like the likes of Norm Ullman and Eddie Shack was the referee. I remember him chasing me around trying to cut my hair on the ice. He had scissors. Like, why would he have scissors on him?
Well, like Brutus the barber, I think.
Yeah.
Which is good, by the way, which is a great segue to Jake the Snake, who I'm going to get to in a minute. See,
okay.
These are all my WWF wrestlers, but this guy goes by Jake the Snake. He's a good Hamilton guy. We're going to get to him in a minute. Remember those ads? Like, you say, you got chocolate and my peanut butter, and the guy's go, you got peanut butter and my chocolate, and then they taste it, and I'm like, this is a great combination.
Yep.
Like, to me, that's music and sports.
Absolutely.
I love it when they mash up like here. But what I'm giving you is this book. It's right there for you. It's the history of Toronto Maple Leafs baseball. They play at Christie Pitts, and their home opener is on May 12 at 2 p.m. And by the way, I'll be there. Everybody listening, there's no ticket, okay? You just show up at Christie Pitts, which is Bloor and Christie, and you watch a great baseball game, and then you're going to see some cool FOTMs. And the reason I brought up Rick Emmett is because he's going to be there. So Rick Emmett will be there. We'll honor him before the game. Wendell Clark's going to be there. Rick Vive is going to be there. Stephen Brunt's going to be there. Steve Pakin's going to be there. Mike Epple. I almost called him Mike Emmett. But, I mean, some real cool cats. So you're invited too, Greg. Everybody's invited.
Absolutely. I just finished listening to your episode with Rick Emmett. I know it was a while back, not too long ago, but it was fantastic. Yeah, and matter of fact, Brighton Rock got a chance to tour with Triumph in Canada, and that was their final tour. And as a matter of fact, the very last show they had when they broke up, we were opening for that show. I mean, and because of that, we got, speaking of dreams coming true, opening for Triumph, we got to play Maple Leaf Gardens, the Montreal Forum, Ottawa Civic Center, Halifax Metro Center, Quebec Colisée, Kitchener Gardens, London Gardens, you name it. So thank you, Rick Emmett.
Amazing. And another band you opened for is going to come up when I read Jake the Snake's question. So thank you, Rick Emmett, and he'll be at Christie Pitts May 12th. Come out and say hi to us. I'll have my gear there, so I'll be recording. So that's the home opener for the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team. You got your history book.
Awesome.
You got some fresh craft beer from Great Lakes Brewery. You bring that home. And where is home these days?
Niagara Falls.
Still okay. Good for you, Niagara Falls. So you're bringing the beer.
Awesome.
So I was pretty close to you yesterday when I was in Hamilton. Okay. So you got your beer. You got your, in my freezer upstairs is a large lasagna from Palma Pasta. They're in Mississauga and Oakville. So
I've been hearing about this on your podcast. I'm curious.
You're going to try it now.
Nice.
Let me know what you think.
Awesome.
Peter Gross highly endorses it, so you'll enjoy.
Thank you so much.
We've already shouted out Ridley Funeral Home, but they did send over a measuring tape for you, Greg. You never know if you got to measure something.
Okay, you got to measure myself for a coffin? Is that what we're doing? Or
As you wish. Shout out to Ridley Funeral Home. There's a wireless speaker courtesy of Moneris. This card goes with that speaker.
It's
because
like Christmas here. What's going on?
You know what? Too much swag. I'm taking half of it back. Too much for you, my friend.
I feel guilty. I should have brought you something.
You didn't bring me anything?
Jesus, I gotta search through my car between the seats. Got to be something.
Got any coffee left in the coffee cup there? Okay, but why am I giving you a wireless speaker from Moneris? Moneris doesn't make speakers because Moneris wants you to listen to season 6 of Yes, We Are Open. This is an award-winning podcast from Moneris, and it's hosted by Al Grego. And I took a note on the latest episode. They're dropping episodes from season 6, and Al went to Canmore, that's in Alberta. That's the home of Sarah and Joe Titus. They own Going With the Grain, and we learn about their small business. They restore hardwood floors in Canmore, and they're a husband and wife team. And there's a great story there. They've been doing it for over 20 years. There's been struggles along the way. Al gets the whole story, and we get to enjoy it on season 6 of Yes, We Are Open. So you can listen to that.
Awesome. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, while I got you subscribing to podcasts, get your financial life in order by subscribing to the Advantaged Investor podcast from Raymond James Canada. It doesn't matter, Greg, if you manage your own financial investments or
could always use some help.
You can always use help. I needed to know, like, what is this TFSA? What's that? Like, what's an RESP? Oh my goodness, our RSP is the whole mix there. So lots of best practices and advice on the Advantaged Investor. And I'm sure, Greg, back in Niagara Falls, you've got a drawer full of like cables or old devices or old electronics, possibly.
Absolutely.
Don't throw that in the garbage, Greg. I'll come to Niagara Falls and I'll get you. You're going to go to recyclemyelectronics.ca and put in your address and find out where you can drop it off to be properly recycled. So the chemicals don't end up in our landfill. You got it.
Got it.
Kevin Shea heard you were coming on. He says, hello.
Hi, Kevin. Miss you, buddy.
Well, I can broker the deal. We can hang out with Kevin maybe at the Leaf game tonight. Kevin, can you get 2 tickets for me and Greg, please? Hurry. But he wants me to ask you about Monica Schnarr.
Yes. Okay.
What can you share with the listenership about Monica Schnarr?
We have a video for a song called "One More Try," and that's probably one of our biggest singles.
Should I kick it now? That is, I think that's
sure.
I think that might be if you go find 100 random people in a subway and you play all of your songs, the one that will, I think, hit the most is this one. Okay, my opinion here. what are you thinking as you listen to One More Try?
Like I mentioned earlier, just a lot of memories flooding back. You mentioned Monica Schnarr.
You know what? I never knew. I've never known. In fact, I had an opportunity to have her on the program, but it was going to be via Zoom.
Oh.
Because I think she's near, like, Collingwood or something like that.
Could be, yeah.
Something like that. And I actually politely turned it down because if I'm going to have Monica Schnarr on the program, I'm like, she's in the basement, okay?
Of course.
We got to fulfill some fantasies here. Okay, but please, tell me about Monica Schnarr. She's in the video for One More Try?
For this song here, One More Try, we have a video, and at the time, back then, that's when models were like rock stars. You knew Cindy Crawford and all the you knew their names. Now, not so much, but back then, every year you would have supermodel.
Linda Evangelista.
That's right. Yeah, all those names. So every year you'd have supermodel of the year, and this particular year, Monica Schnarr, at the ripe old age of 17 years old, was crowned Supermodel of the Year. And being Canadian, somehow between our record company, or I'm not really sure, or management, we got her to be in our video as she was like a photographer.
The Tawny Katayan of Brighton Rock.
Yeah.
Look, I know what you're doing here.
Yeah.
Right? For sure. Get her on top of the hood of a car.
Yeah, but like I mentioned, she's only 17, so
well,
No
comment.
But so I mean, she's in the video. She's a great part of the video. She looks fantastic, and we're glad that she's part of it because people to this day still remember that name. And we're friends on Facebook and stuff like that. We still wish each other happy birthdays and Merry Christmas and stuff like that. But yeah, it'd be great if you can get her back on. I'm sure she's got.
Well, I've never had her on because I didn't want to Zoom with her.
Yeah, that's right.
Am I wrong? Like, I didn't want to Zoom with you either. Like, it's not just a sexist thing or something. I'm like, I want to do a Brighton Rock. I want you in the basement.
Absolutely.
It's just my strong preference. Even Bob Ray. Okay, I assigned a task to Steve Paikin. I said, Steve, get me Bob Ray in the basement. And
that's right.
Steve goes off and does stuff. Bob Ray lives in New York City. He's a very busy guy. He's like he's working for the UN or something.
8 hours away, no big deal.
But I said, no, I'm not Zooming with Bob Ray. And he's scheduled to be in the basement in June.
Is that right?
That's right. So if Bob Ray can be in the basement in June, I think Monica Schnarr can make her way to the basement at some point.
So at least she could do.
Yeah, you don't have to draw. I mean, anyway, I'm all over the place here, but I'm like, she could be here for another reason and just drop by for 90 minutes.
Sure.
And we can talk about, I would just spend an hour talking about the One More Try video. Like that's all I want to talk to you, Monica, about. One More Try.
I'm going to send her a clip. When you post this, I'm going to send her a copy of this for sure. You better check this out.
Big fan, Monica. And she's been on several, I would say at least 2 or 3 podcasts I produce as a guest on other people's programs who are willing to do it by Zoom. So
She's due. She's
due to get down. Yeah, she's as due as the Toronto Maple Leafs, right?
I hear you.
All right. So this album, again, Take a Deep Breath. This is the second of the 3 albums you made, and this is your most commercially successful album.
It's our biggest selling, yeah.
It was. I saw it was. I think One More Try was number 11 on the. Sorry. The album was number 11 on the top 50 CanCon albums of 1989. Like, it was number 11, and this album peaked at number 22 here in Canada, and this was the big single. So I'm listening to it in the headphones now. You know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking, how was this not a hit in the United States? Like, it's got that right sound for the moment. It sounds great.
I know we lost our record deal. Like I mentioned, for our first record, we were signed to Adco Atlantic, and then we didn't set the world on fire in America, so we got dropped. So for our second and third record were basically just Europe and Canada. We couldn't get released in the States, and which is a struggle, but it's a struggle for a lot of Canadian bands.
But you had, okay, fine, but number 1 hits and these bands are related, and they're just popping in my head right now, but Sheriff?
Yep.
Alias?
Yep.
They're all connected, see?
For sure.
But that sound in this, like, I listened to that in the headphones, and it's like you could be played right there with not a Canadian band, but Mr. Big.
Sure. I agree.
Extreme, it could be right next door to Extreme. Come on.
Yep. Well, I mean, but you need
Love Bites by Def Leppard. Come on, let's go.
But all those bands you mentioned, they're all heavily managed, like the biggest managements in the world. You need that kind of muscle behind you. You need a big record company behind you, or you're just not going to get noticed. We're just one of a million other bands that are trying to fight to get noticed. And hey, look at us, And
right.
I appreciate what you're saying. I agree.
I don't think there's anything distinctly Canadian about. I think it's got a great hook. It's got great vocals. The whole band sounds tight. Like, to me, that's a hit single.
Yeah.
on south of the border.
I agree. Thank you.
All right, so we just got to go back in time, and we need somebody to push this single to MTV or whatever. And you got a Monica Schnarrs in the video. Come on, it's all lining up, right? Is there any disappointment? Like, I hope you have no regrets in life, of course. But is there any thoughts of like, man, if we just had somebody as an advocate for us in the United States and push this, everything, you would have been like. I don't know. I was hanging with Kevin Hearn yesterday. I'm going to name check everybody I was hanging with yesterday, but Kevin Hearn from Bare Naked Ladies. And, they could tour the States. You know why? They had a #1 Billboard Hot 100 album.
That's huge. That's huge. Well, I mean, it's like anything.
Single, not album. I don't know why I said album. Go on.
Yeah, but getting noticed in the States is next to impossible. I mean, look at Tragically Hip. I mean, they could sell out arenas in a blink of an eye in Canada and then go down in the States and not be noticed at all. Why is that? I mean, there's only a handful of bands you can think of in the last 30 years. You're talking about Rush and Triumph and Nickelback
right.
and Bare Naked Ladies. And
only the one #1 for Bare Naked Ladies. They had a few other, like, top 40 hits, but
if you think about how many bands from Canada can go into America right now and sell out an arena,
like zero, right? I mean, except for these legacy bands, like fill in a headline and fill an arena,
right?
Nickelback,
that's it.
And Rush is no longer active, as you know.
Triumph is no longer. Who else?
And even Triumph would have to be on a bigger bill right now to fill up an arena.
That's right.
Headliner. So really, you're looking at Nickelback can do it, and I'm just going to think about a Canadian band that can do that. I'm thinking,
Nobody.
Hold on. You're right.
That's what I mean. So what does that tell you right there? I mean, there's a lot. I mean, you figure bands like I mean, okay, I should maybe mention Bryan Adams. He could still do it.
But he's not a band.
He's not a band. But other than
Bryan Adams could do it, right?
So I mean,
then you can bring in, if you're going to bring in Bryan Adams, you can bring in Neil Young. Right? Like
exactly.
That's why we got to stick to bands here, right?
That's right.
Other than Nickelback, here's an open question you and I are pondering, and I'll throw it out to the live stream there. Other than Nickelback, is there an active Canadian rock band that can headline an arena in the United States and sell it out?
That's right.
Okay, I don't think there is.
Yeah, and then what does that tell you? I mean, this is 70s, 80s, 90s, all the 2000s, and there's
especially with this bullshit version of the Guess Who I keep hearing about.
Oh, Jesus. You've been following that drama? Yeah. Wow.
Of course, Robert Lawson keeps me posted, but now they can't even play songs that Burton Cummings wrote.
What are your feelings on that? Do you think?
Here's what I think. I think it's bullshit that they present themselves as the band who gave us American Woman and everything else. Like I think for sure they're really just a cover band that has almost nothing to do with the original, with the bands that had the hits. Like, I want to know more what you think, because you're a guy like Brighton Rock, for goodness sakes. What's your perspective on what's happening with the current iteration of the Guess Who? Well,
I'm kind of mixed on it because the drummer. I'm pretty sure he's the guy that owns the name, and
legally they can do it. But I think there's a difference between like are you legally allowed to do it, and is it bullshit?
Right. Well, I mean, it's kind of tough. I'm kind of mixed on it. Like, I know where Burton Cummings is coming from. Like, people are coming there thinking that Burton Cummings is going to be singing.
But they sign albums. Like, they're signing Wheat,
that's right.
Soul, whatever their stuff was. Like, they're signing it as if they're the Guess Who that, like, in America. And then notice where they're touring, right? They're not touring anywhere savvy enough to know that this is like a pale imitation of the actual Guess Who. Like, they're playing places in America where they don't really know better.
That's
you know
right.
What I mean?
That's right.
Like
yeah.
They're preying on the ignorance. And I think I think Cummings pulled that move, which will cost him a lot of money in the wallet. But I feel like that was like the final move to stop it. And I don't know. I feel like I kind of root for the guy because he's the talent. I always root for the talent. But I'm very interested in your perspective.
Yeah, you wouldn't want to, your name be tarnished. It's like people walk away and say they don't know that it's Burton Cummings. Say they just remember the name Guess Who, and they go thinking, okay, I want to go. I love that band. Let's go check them out. And then they walk away going, I don't know, that wasn't so great. And now that reflects on Burton Cummings.
So it's Jim Cale who owns the name. He owns the name. The drummer's actually unable to tour most of the time, but Jim Cale owns the name. So legally they're fine, because if you own the name, you own the name. Like, who owns the name Brighton Rock? Do you own it? Do you know who owns it? Because I own it now, buddy, and I'm going to start a band.
You bugger. No wonder I'm not getting any royalties.
We're going to be playing One More Try everywhere at the festivals across the country. But do you know who owns the name?
I don't at this particular time.
Bob Roper, please send me an email.
Yes.
Do you own it, Bob? Kevin Shea owns it. He's holding on to it for you. But fascinating to watch what's going on with the faux Guess Who. I root for the talent, so I root for Cummings. But I understand as if I were putting on my Lorne Honickman hat, my lawyer hat, I'm sure Jim Cale's well within his right to call whatever band he wants the Guess Who because he owns the trademark on it. But it's still stinky bullshit. It
basically is. It's a glorified cover band. But even still, if you hear Foreigner and stuff like that. Mick Jones, the guitar player, he barely shows up to any of the gigs anymore, if any. So there's lots of times you go see Foreigner and there's not one original guy on stage. But having said that, I did see them in the casino in Niagara Falls a few years ago.
Yeah.
And they were fantastic. I was blown away how good. The singer was unbelievable. So at that point, the name is not being tarnished because the people are walking away going, wow, that was great. I really enjoyed that. Are the Guess Who doing that right now? Are people walking away going, that was unbelievable, or that was okay? And I think that's where Burton Cummings is coming from. It's like, hey, we have a legacy, and you're tarnishing that legacy, And so, if they were to present it as founding member of Guess Who, maybe make a point of doing that and keeping Burton Cummings and Randy Baxham's names out of it and making it clear, I'm sure it wouldn't be an issue.
Stay tuned. Fascinating. Shout out to Robert Lawson. We'll keep our eye on this one here. Jake the Snake, I teased him earlier, so I want to get this out before I ask you more questions about One More Try. And then you can say to me, can we get off One More Try already? That's my goal.
All good. It's all good. I'm a Macho Man guy, by the way.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, he was a big baseball player himself.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you know the story. Okay. And now shout out to Stu Stone, who produces Dark Side of the Ring there. Does a lot of those interviews you see on Dark Side of the Ring. Jake the Snake. Not Roberts, though. I don't think it's Roberts. He says, nice. This is me tweeting that Brighton Rock episode is happening. He says, I remember their first big gig, Honeymoon Suite in Brighton Rock in Hamilton, Ontario at Cops Coliseum. I drove by it yesterday. It's got a new name.
Yeah, I know.
They were used to fill the arena for the filming of Bob Dylan's movie.
Hearts on Fire or something?
Hearts of
Fire or something?
I'm going to give you the right name. This is an important program. We don't mess around here. Hearts of Fire.
That's right, yeah.
And then he says, Brighton Rock also opened for Boston at Cops Coliseum.
That's right.
And
that was a dream come true.
Okay, tell me about that, because Midtown Gord can't wait to hear this episode. He's seen you many times at Rock and Roll Heaven, and he said he saw you open up for Boston at Cops Coliseum in '88. What was that like?
Well, it was the beginning show of the Boston tour for them. So this was their final, I guess, rehearsal. So what they did during the day, they set up all the lights in the sound system and they did a complete rehearsal of the show to nobody. So we got to watch their whole show with nobody else there.
Wow.
Yeah, they practiced all the lights and lasers and did all the songs to make sure everything's just perfect, because this was their first show of the tour. So that alone was fantastic, and got to mingle with the guys a little bit backstage. Couldn't be nicer. I remember they were playing ping pong. I got a big kick out of that. I said, wow, look at these rock stars playing ping pong of all things, But that was unbelievable. I mean, when the Boston record first came out, I think it was 1986, so I was about 13 years old, and the guitar and everything, that record, to this day, I still consider it a master.
Oh, not 86. You mean
76.
Right.
76, yeah. So,
and this is with More Than a Feeling on it?
More Than a Feeling and Long Time.
Kurt Cobain was nervous about releasing Smells Like Teen Spirit because he said that the guitar part sounds too much like More Than a Feeling.
Oh, really?
And when you hear it now, More Than a Feeling, more than a feeling.
Right.
And you can hear it in Smells Like Teen Spirit.
Oh, well, now I'm going to have to listen to that.
Which is another single Kevin Shea had to push to Canadian rock stations.
Attaboy, Kevin. He's the reason why you heard the word Nirvana.
Did you know Kevin Shea's the baby on the cover of Nevermind?
I knew
the pool?
that. Yes.
That's a fun fact.
He'll never live that down.
See, I know Toronto Mike. You can roll with it. I'm digging this. Helix is another big favorite band of Jake the Snake. You want to talk about Helix for a moment?
Sure. I played in Helix for a little over 3 years when Brighton Rock broke up. This was going right into the grunge area.
So why did Brighton Rock? That's the big question. Why did Brighton Rock break up?
When our third record was getting released, everybody that signed us and it was part of pushing Brighton Rock at the record company were no longer there. So it was all a new breed of people. So the writing was on the wall that we weren't going to get the push we did for that record. And we desperately needed American management. So our dream was to get American management and an American record company behind us, because we were just signed exclusively to a Canadian label. So it means we're dead in the water in the States, and we really wanted to break the States. So we asked them if they could let us go and pursue that. So eventually they did let us go, and we had some, interest down, some major management down there. And it was looking good, then it kind of fell through, and then it all kind of fizzled out. And this was like 1992, right when grunge was starting, and it's like, let's take a break and just...
Yeah, your sound, I was wondering how that affected your sound, because, you hear about bands, I don't know, like Poison and stuff, and they kind of had to... Yeah, this grunge sound didn't jive with the hair metal.
No, well, the new kids of today, all the new high school kids, they didn't want to hear that old stuff. They wanted to hear their favorite new bands, which were grunge. So everybody that our genre of music got kind of pushed aside, and rightly so. I mean, this happens with every generation. I mean, when the 80s were kicking in, people didn't want to sound like the 70s. That sounds too dated. You didn't want to sound like Deep Purple. You didn't want to sound like this and that, right? You wanted a new, fresh sound. And that's what was happening in the 90s. Kids wanted to identify with their new bands and stuff like that. So, yeah.
And did you listen to the Brian Vollmer episode of Toronto Mic'd?
I haven't got a chance to listen to that, but I'm sure there's another guy that's got some great stories. I mean, Helix did some major touring all through Europe, toured with Kiss and stuff like that. So, yeah, he's got a great stories behind him for sure.
Absolutely. Did you ever win? Did Brighton Rock? How many Junos were Brighton Rock nominated for?
We were nominated for Most Promising Group first, Most Promising Group of the Year, and we lost to this little band called Tragically Hip.
I saw this is 1990, so you were nominated for Most Promising Group of the Year, and Tragically Hip beat you out. But it's amazing to be nominated for that award.
For sure. And then we were nominated for Hard Rock Group of the Year, and we lost to a group called Rush.
Wow. No shame in that.
Yeah, and we were also nominated for Album Cover of the Year for the second record, Take a Deep Breath, with which was Hugh Syme did that album cover. He did all the Rush covers. So we were nominated for a Juno with that. I'm not sure who ended up winning the Juno for that one, but so three nominations, 0 wins.
Well, that's it's honor being nominated.
Absolutely,
so
it was
congrats
exciting.
To Brighton Rock here. So Brighton Rock breaks up. Okay, you're going on doing other stuff, like you're in Helix and you're doing all these things. I'm curious. And then sadly, of course, we already mentioned this, but Jerry McGee dies of cancer in 2020.
Yes.
So, is there a Brighton Rock? Like, if I wanted to throw some money together and get Brighton Rock to play an event, who would be the singer? Is that possible? What's going on with Brighton Rock today?
Well, Brighton Rock is no longer. I currently have a new band called Storm Force, and we released our debut record in 2020. But without Jerry, to me, it's not Brighton Rock. I mean, and not only that, there's nobody that can sing when he sings. He's got an incredible register in his voice that not too many people can sing. I mean, he hits anybody that's a vocalist out there. He can hit high E notes and not falsetto. That's in his real voice. So try doing that. Hit a piano or hit a high E note in your real voice. It's next to impossible. So if we did get a singer, it would have to be somebody like Darby Mills from Headpins, or somebody that's got that high register that can pull it off, because there's 0 male singers that I know that can pull it off. I mean, even when I was in Helix, when I first joined.
Vollmer's like an opera singer or something, isn't he?
And he goes, hey, we should do a couple of Brighton Rock songs. And then he started trying to sing along to One More Try, and he realized he can't hit those notes either.
Fascinating.
Brian's a fantastic singer. Like you mentioned, opera train. He's got but not anybody can, it's like Stephen Perry from Journey. Not too many people can sing like that, There's only a handful.
Well, they found a Filipino guy who can do it.
That's right. That's what I mean. You had to go all the way to the Philippines to get somebody that could do it,
Shout out to the Philippines. I want to play another Brighton Rock song before we wrap things up.
Sure,
because
right.
One More Try. So One More Try, just to go back to that, because I really do want you to say, can we get off One More Try already?
No, bring it on. I love it.
But it was Now I want to play the Gino clip for you. Maybe I'll play the Gino clip for you real quick here, and then we'll get back to...
Gino Vanelli?
Yeah, Gino Vanelli. So here's, because that's a reference, people who listen to the Lexicon episode will get. So this is a minute of Gino on Toronto Mic'd here. I love it.
Well, that's ask me the question and we'll do Wild Horses.
I was going to actually, because I tried to go in chronological order
the sun
here.
goes down on the Arizona plain. The wind whistles by like a runaway train. Hey, hey. It's a beautiful thing. It's me and you in a flatbed truck, a photo-red mom and just my luck. Hey, hey. In the middle of spring.
That's awesome.
Now, what does she want to know?
Here it comes. I want to know if you, at the time, regarded black cars as any sort of, I joke said, it's don't call it a comeback.
Can we get off black cars? My God.
It was only half an hour more on black cars before. We can move on to another cut from the same album here. I got more black cars questions. Brother. You know what? You're breaking my heart, Gino. Can we get off black cars? I'm going to wake up in the middle of the night tonight in a cold sweat. Did Gino really say that?
You remind me of my parish priest. Get off of it, I said.
So there's the origin of the "Can we get off black cars?" It's "Can we get off one more try?" One more try though is that so? That's your biggest hit, I suppose.
Yeah, that did really well for us in England too. That particular record went over there and sold out the marquee and everything, and that was a big song for us.
Big jam for you here, and CFTR was playing it, so this would be a top 40 here.
Yeah, that was pretty tough for us because, like I mentioned, we're more of a hard edge band, and for us to get AM radio back then was a miracle because we weren't expecting. We thought no way they would touch us, and they were accepting us. So that was a great time, great memories, and loved every minute of it.
Gonna play the single that came out after One More Try just before. High and Dry. Remember that one too, man. These jams are taking me back. I can't imagine what they're doing to you. So
yeah, I'm just, you know what's funny? I was just listening to the production. That was the record, Take a Deep Breath, our second record. That was produced by Jack Richardson. And for those of you who are not aware, Jack Richardson's is a legendary producer who managed or produced The Guess Who. He managed or produced early Alice Cooper and stuff like that. So when you, speaking of the Junos, when you have Producer of the Year, you're winning the Jack Richardson Producer of the Year award. So yeah, and yeah, I'm just thinking about Jack right now. He's got a son, Garth Richardson, who's a legendary producer. You should maybe get him on. You probably have to do Zoom, though. He's out in Vancouver.
Well, you know, I'll make exceptions for the severely geographically challenged people like that, for sure.
But he did Rage Against the Machine and stuff like that. So he engineered our first record, Garth. So he's got some great stories, too.
Absolutely. Basement Dweller on the live stream talks about Storm Force. He says they sound great. I heard a couple of the songs on YouTube, but he also says Phrase Gang was also great. And
that's my solo group. I had two records. Phrase Gang, Fraze, Phrase Gang. We did. You can get it on Spotify and on YouTube and all that stuff. Yeah, we did 2 records. Second one was mixed and produced by Bo Hill from 80s fame. He did, Rat and Winger and all those bands, and Warrant and all those 80s hair bands. He's a big.
Wow.
When you listen to Round and Round by Rat, that's Bo Hill's production. So.
Wow. And speaking of Jack Richardson, he also produced Sword's Sweet Dreams album.
Yes, yeah, he did. Do you remember that's when Max Webster, I don't know if it was Kim Mitchell's first record or was it still Max Webster? He did that song Battle Scar.
Of course,
with
yes.
Rush. That's Garth. That was Jack.
Kim was on the program and we talked about it. Absolutely.
Yeah, and Jack Richardson is the one that produced that. He was the one that got the all the drum kits, all the 2 drum kits, which was unheard of back then. Having trying to mic up 2 drum kits and 2 basses and guitars, and that's all. Jack Richardson wrangled that all together, and that's a killer Canadian staple song for sure.
I thoroughly enjoyed this, man. I loved going back in time and getting the full story, like the origin story, how it all ends, the complete Brighton Rock story. I hope you enjoyed yourself.
I did. Thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate this, and looking forward to maybe talking to you again in the future. And if you're ever in the Niagara Falls area, let's get together. Have a couple of brown pops.
I'm in. We can get some Great Lakes Brewery over there. Now, Storm Force, if somebody wants to hear more or maybe catch Storm Force somewhere, give us the Storm Force on the way out here. Give us.
Yeah, we have a website, stormforce.ca, and we're all the platforms, Spotify and Amazon and iTunes, stuff like that. Yeah, check us out.
Not to be confused with Space Force. That's different. Storm Force is
Storm Force. We got a new record we're working on right now, hoping to have it out in the next 6 months.
One more try for you, Greg. Here we go. Fantastic. You're not winning a Stanley Cup this year, but you've won 6. We've won many more, but all before I was born. So I don't even know if I should brag about that. There's only 6 teams back then. I always think, we won the Grey Cup. It's there's 8 teams or something. Odds are you're going to win a Grey Cup or 2 along the way. I hope everybody enjoyed this in the live stream. And you're now an FOTM, friend of Toronto Mike.
Thanks, Mike.
And don't leave without your lasagna, because I want their full review of the Palma Pasta lasagna.
Sure. It's amazing.
And that brings us to the end of our 1,477th show. Nice. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky. I'm at Toronto Mike. How can we follow you, Greg?
I'm on Facebook, just Greg Fraser. I think I got a couple of... I got hacked there the one day, so I started a new one, but I got unhacked, so I got 2 profiles there, and Instagram and Twitter and all that stuff.
Follow them both, okay? Much love to all who made this possible. That's Great Lakes Brewery, Palma Pasta, RecycleMyElectronics.ca, Raymond James Canada, the Toronto Maple Leafs baseball team, Moneris, and Ridley Funeral Home. See you tomorrow. Another musician will make his Toronto Mike debut tomorrow. It will be Kip Harness making his Toronto Mike debut. 2 o'clock on the live stream, by the way, Basement Dweller. If you want to make an appointment to be there, I'd love it. See you all then.
8 years of laughter and 8 years of tears. And I don't know